Hey, everybody. Welcome to With Thunder's Applause, a podcast where two friends get together to discuss the events and ideas that will shape our uncertain future. I am your host, Steve, along with my co host, Zach. What's up?
Nothing much. Just got back from going shopping a little bit for monthly medicinals and doing baking. I'm trying to master sourdough, and I finally got it to crack on top again. Give it a nice cut. I found out it's a combination of putting it in the Dutch oven with the lid on, and then removing it and finishing it with the lid off. Steps, dog. Steps.
Perfect.
What about you?
What about me? Went camping for the weekend. It was kind of an adventure. My eldest turned 10 today.
Woo.
So we had dinner and stuff here, but we went camping over the weekend, and that was fun. Pretty low key.
Nice.
Too much food, too much, some people, cool people. There was a drive-by.
A camping site?
Yes, there was.
Oh boy.
We think it was just locals being fucking assholes.
Gotcha. Or were they like just shooting in the air or shooting at things?
It looked like they were just shooting in the air, but still.
Oh yeah, it's dangerous. Those bullets come back down. People don't think about it. It's like gravity just ceases to exist when you pull the trigger.
Well, the only person who would do that is not thinking of the projectile. Which is
just
like, if you can't, yeah, exactly. If you can't, yeah, it's like two of the fucking rules. There's 4 rules of firearms, and 2 of the rules have to do with like, you got to know where the fucking
your barrel's
object you're propelling at, a few thousand feet per second or whatever.
Yeah,
wherever it's going. But yeah, man. So that was cool, and we have an interesting show. We kind of pieced it together. It's not going to be a long format, kind of more investigative show. We just kind of pieced together some shit like we normally do Thursdays. And we're going to start with a clip from the science show. Hank Green, who's a well-known science communicator in social media spaces. He's huge on TikTok and YouTube. He's huge. Millions and millions and millions of subscribers across like a number of different profiles or whatever accounts.
Yeah. They're currently
because he runs several accounts.
He does, yeah. He's like Vlog Brothers, and then the science ones, and then currently doing a Dimension 20 series for it's like a D&D, not live play, but it's pre-recorded.
Okay, yeah, and him and his brother have had a podcast for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And he has cancer right now. Hank Green does. Last I checked.
Yeah, it seems like he's through. I think he said he was like through the chemo, and they weren't sure if they were going to go on to radiation. And then last he updated, he was going into radiation. So.
Yeah, I just know that I don't see him much because I'm not on TikTok a lot.
Yeah.
And the algorithm is really selective. Like I get music, I get comedy, and I get political stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's really what I use YouTube for,
Exactly.
So I don't see him much, but when I came across a few today, because I don't know, I searched for some different things over the last handful of days, and my algorithm's all fucked up. It'll take it a while to settle back down.
Don't do it on the show's channel. Go to your own personal channel for your weird searches.
Oh, I think I am.
Oh, good.
Most of the time. It's very rare that I am logged in through the other account.
I've definitely accidentally gotten cat videos onto this account.
So after Hank Green, I think we're going to spend most of the time talking about the weather.
The weather, casual conversation. Then maybe a little bit of, blowing shit up. Maybe a little bit. There's so much on the war front that I can't even possibly get to it. So summarize up front, it's been mostly in Russia's favor. They've definitely taken some hits. It's definitely a fucking war. It's not just absolutely one-sided. And I think there's a lot of other political reasons why it's happening that way.
and material reasons, right? Like
Right.
not wanting to commit that much. And as long as they have defensive positions and don't really take a lot of losses, like it's going to take a lot to grind down public support for it.
Mhm.
And yeah, and the stuff in Africa, I've heard very little. I'm sure that military planners in NATO, in France, and the US, possibly Canada, and some other countries are all probably meeting and discussing what they're going to do. Unless I missed something over the weekend when I was completely offline.
You may have.
Oh, did I? New
Yeah.
developments?
New development, yeah.
Tell me.
Oh, we're gonna get to it, man.
Oh, you already have something in there.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I didn't realize
It was
that.
last minute. I work fast.
All right, fantastic. So we're going to talk a little bit about foreign policy shit, and then I think that's it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Hey, Ahsoka starts. Did you hear the good news about Ahsoka? Real quick.
It's actually happening.
Well, no, yeah, of course. We all knew it was
But
going to happen. No, they're releasing they're releasing 2 episodes on opening day,
okay.
which kind of makes sense too.
Yeah.
Andor did that, I think. Andor started with 2, I think, or 3.
I can't remember, but yeah, they're playing around with giving you just enough to stay interested, and then
Yeah, because
coming
sometimes
back.
they realize to tell the kind of story they want, like in a 3-act structure anyway, like the first act, which is like the kind of what do they call it? The reason for adventure or whatever, like the
Oh
thing,
yeah,
which is
Call to Adventure. Yeah.
the call to adventure. Thank you.
Yes.
The call to adventure is kind of like you're just kind of getting introduced to everything, and then the story takes place in Act 2, and then
Yeah.
Act 3 is usually about as short as Act 1, and it's just like what happens when you get to the end of Act 2,
Right.
and or like how do you resolve things? How do we walk away from our characters? Like where are they at?
Right. Well, your father just
Like
died.
Frodo jumping on the bed, or the Samwise jumping on Frodo's bed
Yeah.
right before he shits in his mouth.
They're not gay. They're hobbits.
That's a Clerks 2 joke. Speaking of Rosario Dawson, she was in Clerks 2.
Yeah.
And she's gonna play play Ahsoka.
Damn it.
It's fucking
good shit.
pricks right in his mouth. Does he fucking make him puke too, right?
All right.
Anyway, that's good stuff. All right, let's get started with an interesting
this.
factoid about a favorite flower of mine and yours.
Scientists just figured out why cannabis smells like a skunk's butt. For a long time, the exact molecule that gives weed its signature scent was unknown, but hiding in plain sight, or at least in plain scent. Most research on Mary Jane before this had focused on terpenes and terpenoids, which are hydrocarbons that give most plants their smell. Terpenes give different strains of weed scents that cannabis connoisseurs might describe as woody, citrusy, floral, or peppery, at least underneath all the skunk. But new research has discovered a brand new family of strongly scented molecules called volatile sulfur compounds in cannabis plants. We find other families of VSCs in more pleasantly aromatic plants like garlic and hops. But we also find VSCs in less delicious places like the defensive spray used by skunks. So it turns out common intuition was right in describing the weed scent as skunky. Science.
There's absolutely no reason why we needed to fucking play that clip, but
that's pretty good.
You know what? It's awesome. I like to learn shit.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm really high right now, so that just seemed like a cool thing to learn about.
That SciShow one, they have like so many different ones. There's like, SciShow Space, SciShow like Mind. They have a bunch of different ones.
Yeah.
Psych, that's what it is. SciShow Psych. Yeah.
Yeah, phys.org or whatever, PHYS. It's like a physical, it's like a academic research paper publishing website, I think. Are you familiar with them?
No, but it sounds like a cool
but they generally have like open source papers, and there's
okay.
been a bunch of ecology stuff popping up that I wanted to like look into and talk about. And I don't think that would necessarily be out of place for us, just kind of like maybe incorporate when we're do a segment on just an academic paper that we thought was interesting and go through it.
I mean, I didn't get too far into it, but if you want to talk about ecology, it was Scotland was trying to make ecocide um, illegal and punishable under law.
Nice.
Yeah, so people are working on it. But yeah, that would be a good topic.
It would be really awesome to talk about ecocide.
Yeah,
because that's ultimately when you frame it that way and they're providing kind of a legal definition and essentially assigning it kind of like rights of a person almost or rights of a corporation, right?
Trees are people.
Yeah, I mean it's very interesting, and I think that there's it's just more evidence that there's this shift in human thinking about the environment away from kind of like previous eras of environmental thinking, first in like the kind of divine inspiration school with like Muir and Thoreau and all that other shit, and then nature through like a utilitarian perspective with like Teddy Roosevelt and all those other guys who created early policy about like having resources to use, like managing it so that we can keep it around,
right,
and benefit from it. And then the more kind of modern environmental movement, which was kind of against industrial toxins and other kinds of consequences of technology.
Yeah.
And then a school of thinking that hasn't had a lot of people, it hasn't been like the mainstream thread in environmentalism, which was like the kind of more like, what do you call them? Basically like the dirt worshippers, not in a religious sense, but in the kind of like Earth has inherent right to exist, deep ecology,
right. Just because we can kill everything.
Biocentrists.
Yeah. Sounds like basically just because we can kill everything doesn't mean we should.
Right.
In similar ones, there's like a trio of states that are recognizing rights to a healthy environment for their people, and so you have some of them like blocking certain corporations from mining or prospecting or whatever. Recently, Ecuador, I was reading about it. They are blocking oil drilling in the Amazon, and whether it is a real threat or not, it's a pretty bold move. Like I have a feeling they might have a coup in their future if they keep it up too hard. So don't be surprised when Ecuador is got someone new in charge in a year or two. But
yeah, I think when we talk about this imperialism stuff, maybe I'll offer some thoughts, but I definitely think that this is kind of the last hurrah of the U.S. fucking around outside of the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah.
I think they're just going to turn in on Latin America.
Yeah, they're close, and nobody cares about them that much.
And also, it's been just kind of global policy. What was it called? It wasn't the Monroe Doctrine, was it? I think it might have been. But basically, like the U.S. once the U.S. empire hit the Pacific coast and started branching out into the Pacific Ocean, it basically like told Europe, like the Western Hemisphere is ours, fuck off. Like it basically after the Spanish left, because the Spanish and the French and the British and the Russians to a lesser extent all had a presence in the Western Hemisphere as imperial powers. The Portuguese too, right? Brazil.
Yeah.
But they were all involved, but they had all lost their empires there. I think France and Britain had like some islands in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Which I think they still do. I think Denmark might also have an island in the Caribbean or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of little islands all over the world that are owned by various colonial powers.
Yeah, and it's kind of like that kind of makes sense if you're going to have commercial vessels. Like it would be good to have some kind of, even if it's just a bare bones operation to provide assistance should a ship have problems.
Yeah.
But yeah, bro. Okay, great. So, cannabis, man. It's cool. It's skunky because it has the same compound, which is like, no shit, but like, it's kind of cool.
No, it is. It is always very fun to learn little new things like that. Like, why does sourdough from the fridge taste different from sourdough that's at room temperature? And you find out it's like, oh, pretty cool. Yeah. Turns out it's just different metabolic processes.
Fantastic. Now we're talking about some weather.
Weather, man. It's everywhere.
So what was this? Do you have anything that explains the development of this tropical storm?
Not this particular one. This was actually earlier this month. I think this is from 12 days ago.
Oh, so
But it
we're
fit
just
the
gonna have
theme.
some climate
Yeah.
disaster porn.
Yes, it's just a little
Let's
bit.
roll through some climate disaster porn, and then we'll talk about the storm that just happened. Whoa,
Yeah.
that's a house, like a
Yeah.
single wide trailer.
Yeah, single wide trailer, and it just shears the top right off. And then it's like, okay, cool, it blocked it. And then that thing just
pushed it through.
continues on after a while. Oh man. What we got?
Where's this?
This one is in Beijing. And you just
Oh
have,
yeah, dude, China's been having some fucking insane floods, dude.
Yeah, it says 20 inches of rain. Yeah, fucking crazy. I mean, there were 10 inches in Southern California, but definitely nothing to the point where you were seeing this in major urban areas.
I think because most of the water fell out in the desert.
I mean, that still leads to flooding, though.
Oh no, it flooded.
Yeah,
it flooded a lot of shit, but there's not a lot of people that live out there.
Yeah, very localized.
I mean, compared to if you just drive like an hour further west,
Yeah,
where the density is way higher, and there's just not a lot of infrastructure. There are a lot of highway communities. Palm Springs and stuff like that were all supposed to be like bedroom communities for LA, but just kind of became vacation spots for people who lived and worked in the LA basin.
I didn't know what that meant, the bedroom community, until a few years back. Found out, and I was just like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And there's like entire states and regions in this country that are like, there's not a lot of good paying jobs for the young people, so they leave. And so places are becoming bedroom communities, even if they weren't initially.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Yeah, I grew up in a bedroom community.
You did, yeah.
There was a huge development that of, I don't know, thousands and thousands of houses, all on a 1 acre lot. And it was really kind of like a very large approved subdivision. It wasn't like a developer getting rich. Like, it happened quite slowly. And in over time, but that was like an area that was slated to be developed as housing, called Todd's Valley, but it's still the Forest Hill zip code. And it's all just kind of the census designated place at Forest Hill. I mean, that's how the records are kept by the government. It's all it's all called Forest Hill. At any rate, it's just a ton of houses out there, and all those people had jobs. They had jobs in San Francisco and Sacramento, in and around the Sacramento area. Like a lot of cops, firefighters, people who like do block shifts, a lot of truck drivers, like long haul truck drivers who just work for like 2 fucking weeks and then be home for like a week or whatever. But yeah, dude. So yeah, no, I mean, my dad commuted all the way into Sacramento, right? So, but there's nobody working up there because the mill closed, and even then, the mill didn't support those people.
Or really,
the mill maybe supported a few dozen at most.
When did
and
the
then
mill
maybe
close?
a few more dozen. What's that?
When did the mill close? I thought it was still up and running last time we were in that area.
No, they were using the mill to redevelop. They built a high school there.
Okay.
They built a factory there, but the factory went out of business. I think they made wiring harnesses, so they would take like specs from like electrical engineers,
gotcha.
and then put the harnesses together with the right gauges and all that stuff, and then churn them out so that now there's a box of parts. So in the assembly facility, they had all the parts they need to make a bunch of them. Yeah, it's just part of a production chain.
Cool.
And that went out of business, and then some of the old mill buildings, I think, were getting used for something else, and they set aside part of it where there was an emergency airstrip, I think, and made like a like kind of a permanent space for firefighting aviation assets. Because just if you need the space, you have it, and it's a concern that fire just this last year burned right up to the edge of town. Yeah.
Like once your parents talking about getting out of there because of that.
Yeah, and
reasons.
then the rules all after the campfire up here,
Yeah.
we changed to everything. So like across the entire state, all the counties were adopting these like super, and PG&E too, adopting super strict like tree setbacks from lines and
Mm.
all sorts of other shit. And then also a massive reduction in the amount of trees on the land and fuel. And so like it's just, they took a kind of dense forest that was probably not super fire safe, but instead of making it fire safe like in a strategic, well thought out and ecologically sensitive way, they
Mhm.
just did what industrial civilization does and applied industrial management practices to the land, and it fucking hurt the land, man. That's actually appropriate considering the image behind me is a cultural burn.
Yes, and the image in front of you is talking about landslides that are no doubt caused by deforestation and shit.
Right, by these brush fires in the areas prone to landslides. It's usually more like chaparral,
Mm.
and so but a fire can burn all that and open up the soil, and so when you get heavy rain, let's talk about it.
And in the middle of the storm, a magnitude 5
Fooled ya, earthquake.
striking the LA area.
Oh, it's an earthquake.
I tricked you.
Shaking right now. So not only are we dealing with a tropical storm, but it appears we're now dealing with an earthquake.
The Los Angeles Unified School District,
Can you control the volume, or is that it?
Closing today.
Yeah, and an earthquake. Can you believe that? One not related to the other. Just gives you an idea how crazy yesterday was. There is a link to climate change as far as the extreme rainfall that we
got some of that. You did too,
to
yeah.
increase
Yeah.
going forward.
Get some rain today.
Oh yeah, yesterday mostly. A little bit today, but yeah.
Yeah, we had it. It settled in this morning. I don't know when last night, but I know when I woke up around 8 o'clock, it was drizzling, and it drizzled for maybe until a little afternoon.
Yeah, really wish we could have got more of it, but what are you gonna do?
Bro, it's August and we almost never get rain, period.
I know, it's weird though. I like it.
So, and really, I just like to I'm putting enough water on all my important plants that a good soaking of the just top inch of the ground everywhere would be really just all I need.
Yeah,
as far as just to ensure that soil building begins again,
right?
Where it had slowed down due to drought.
Yeah,
because I'm not watering everything. Just
Yeah,
watering the shit that needs water.
Yeah, exactly.
I do some soak on some olives. Like I'll every once in a while I have a bunch of native plants, and I usually they usually get water like once. I try to do it at least once every 10 days, and I probably give them a good drink, like maybe 10 or 15 gallons every couple weeks. Nice. So they still get water, but not as much because they look a lot better when they have water. Even the drought tolerant ones.
Yeah, well,
they're way fucking happier. Like the color is nicer, they'll flower better, all that shit. Anyway, all right, what are we talking about? Hillary, that bitch.
What was it? Lock her up,
Yeah, lock her up.
They wish they could lock up a hurricane. You got to nuke a hurricane to get anything done.
More than 35,000 people are being evacuated in Canada's western province of British Columbia as wildfires intensify.
Sorry, turn that one up too, please.
Declared around the city of Kelowna, 300 kilometres east of Vancouver.
Oh, can you start it?
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is sending in.
Sorry, folks.
That's not how you
fast spreading. More than 35,000 people are being evacuated in Canada's western province of British Columbia as wildfires intensify. A state of emergency there was declared around the city of Kelowna, 300 kilometres east of Vancouver. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is sending in armed forces to help with the evacuations and fight the fast-spreading flames. It's the worst wildfire season in Canada's history. At least 1,000 fires still burning across the country.
Yeah. Not all flooding. We got fire.
Bro, I'm going to tell Tower Tech they need to fucking reach out to the Canadian government.
Oh, the company you used to work for?
Technically, I still work for them. It's just gig work, bro.
Oh, okay.
I'm actually Gonna go down to Southern California and the British UK Special Forces.
Mm-hmm.
They do all of their live jump training, their parachute jump training.
Mm-hmm.
They do that in the desert in Southern California because there's just a barely used airport out in the middle of a fucking desert. And so they go out there for is it 4 weeks a year. They take a group of people out there to certify. I don't know if it's they certify every 2 years or if it's just teaching new guys or what it is, but they certify a group every year.
Okay.
I mean, they're out there for 3 or 4 weeks. There might be a couple groups that come through at that time. I've never worked it, so I don't know all the details, but we're out there from almost no, it's not even a month. It's only like 2.5 weeks. So at any rate, gonna go do that in November. Actually, for that's what I'm doing for Thanksgiving.
I bet they don't have turkey for you either.
No, and there's not a lot of stuff going on out there. But I figured I would just cook at with the group, whoever else is working with me.
Yeah,
Brooke come down. I want to take the opportunity to go see my grandpa and shit because I'm pretty sure he's gonna die soon. I mean, he's fucking old, bro.
Yeah. I mean, all mine are dead, so
yeah.
I get it.
And actually, I think he's my last. Oh shit, he is my last living grandparent of the 4 of them.
Yeah,
because my dad's dad died like 10 years or 8 or 10 years ago. I was already an adult, but it was a while back. And then my grandma died again, not a while back, maybe 6 years ago or so. And then my dad's mom just died like last year. So we're down to 1.
Woo! Celebrate.
He's 85, 86.
Yeah,
which is old.
You know, motherfucker.
It's old for poor people like us.
Yeah,
for sure.
Exactly. Yeah,
for sure.
Die in our 50s. What the fuck? Come on.
I know.
Can't be supporting us till we're in our 80s.
Yeah. So what do we got next? Oh, you didn't show any fucking Hurricane Hillary stuff. So can we talk about that real quick?
Sure.
You just teased it, and then you're like,
yeah,
there's an earthquake too.
So there was flooding quite a bit in Southern California. I couldn't find a whole lot of good footage.
I saw some earlier today.
Most of what I saw was in like city areas, and it was like, look at this car having to go through like 8 inches of rain. Like, that's not good footage.
That's not impressive.
No, not at all.
No, dude.
No,
in I saw in Palm Springs or in Palm Desert, 29 Palms, somewhere out there. And in places in Riverside County, had a shit ton of water. And then Ventura had like, I think it was Simi Valley, had like a bunch of roads get washed out by creeks or drainages like overflowing and knocking out roads. Yeah, look it up. We might have just called this shooting the poodoo. It probably would have flown. The poodoo would have flown.
That is not why did you build your house there? It's like guaranteed to flood. You can tell.
No, I think that people just don't. I mean, those areas get like 6 or 8 inches of fucking year because remember the Mojave, especially as you get closer to the Pacific, it doesn't really get monsoons out of the Gulf of Mexico, as far as I know.
Yeah,
like so, like where Arizona and New Mexico are used to getting like monsoon rains coming off the Gulf of Mexico, we're not used to getting them this far west. And this, my understanding, is a hurricane that was in the Pacific Ocean, which is
incredibly
very uncommon.
Yeah.
At least, I'm sorry, on our side of the Pacific Ocean. Cyclones on the other side are pretty common. Or
it's like we're being sent a message about whose fault this all is.
Who?
Oh, the U.S. Like, taking the Industrial Revolution, just kicking it into high gear.
Yeah, is this a picture of a landslide?
Oh yeah. I mean,
in California.
There's been all kinds of crap.
Yeah.
I mean,
but again, that's a matter of time to clear that. They'll probably just push that right onto the bank.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is like once it goes like this,
No, they'll fucking truck it out because they would have to get too many permits to dump it in the fucking river.
It depends, but yeah, they're also gonna have to, like, put in all kinds of retaining for this tow here so that it doesn't just slide again.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
not
and
it's not a
we
great
just
place to put the road.
we just went up to Fortuna via 36 and 299, which is the passing to the coast from Reading to Arcata, and 36 goes from Red Bluff to Fortuna.
hmm
And 36 is way fucking gnarlier of a road, man. It's so it's like windy for like 3.5 hours, like super fucking windy.
Fuck that.
But it's a highway. It's not narrow. It's not like going up to
Yeah.
Cazadero where it's windy for 15 miles, but it's a single lane road. It's not that gnarly. It's a highway. There's pullouts and stuff, but it is pretty windy. 299 is also windy, but it's more like a mountain highway, maybe 50 miles an hour, at least for most of it. At any rate, they've done so much work on 299 and they started on 36 doing a lot of that retaining wall stuff.
Yeah.
And then they still had sections of the road, 2 sections between Red Bluff and Fortuna where it was a single lane where they put up those timed lights because it was a single lane because like in one part of the road slid off and other one part of the hill slid onto the road. And they were doing some other kind of stuff to straighten, I think, also in some places, which is good.
Yeah. Always appreciated. I hate the mountains.
It's a nice drive, though. What do you got there? Automobile.
Just more automobiles not being where they should be. I've seen a lot of stuff on Reddit, where it's like, I was like August 20th, it's time to party, showing all kinds of like high weather events all over the world. They're like,
this,
it's like the East Coast worries, California parties.
Thinking that's our last weather bit, right?
Yeah,
you can come back to 94. Thanks for looking up those additional images.
Yeah,
because I hadn't had much chance to listen to it. I woke up hearing about it, and then I watched Ryan Hall, y'all. We should link his shit in our show notes for today if we could, just so people can keep up with the weather and subscribe to him. People, the like 3 people that watch us, which are probably like related to us and already watching Ryan Hall.
There's half a dozen. Yeah.
It's an archive for future generations. Eventually, someone will care. No, it's all good. But yeah. And I watched that, so I didn't really understood. It's a rare storm. I think it ran up. It started turning north near Baja, and so it cut up, and Baja had a fuck ton of flooding too. And then they're like, oh shit, and it downgraded to a tropical storm, and then came through San Diego with like 60, 80 mile an hour winds. So there's like a lot of, and these are like, people are like, oh, the South is used to getting winds like that all the time. It's like, right, but like San Diego, when people think of California and think like the weather is just fucking gorgeous all the time, they're thinking of San Diego and a very narrow band along the southern coast.
Yeah,
because you go 10 miles inland and it's fucking hot.
Yeah. Like if you can't see the ocean, it's hot.
Basically, it's a very narrow band. But San Diego is that like kind of iconic city.
Yeah,
Santa Monica might be another one. Perhaps like Long Beach, where they're these kind of iconic cities where you just think of people who live by the beach and they're in sandals and shorts and a tank top or shirtless like most of the fucking year. They might put on long sleeves for like a month in the winter, or something like that. But these places don't get rain and they don't get winds like that. And the desert areas get very little rain. And again, like you and I had some rain just in the kind of off the edge of this as it moved up, and it was going to carry precipitation all the way up through Idaho. where if it meets cold air, I don't know what the from Canada could cause some like convective activities, but I don't know enough about it to say for sure.
We had great wind on Saturday. There was like an hour where it was just going crazy, knocked down a bunch of branches, shit like that, and it just went away.
Yeah,
Cleared
we got no wind.
Oh man, sucks.
We're a little north. I think it was going northeast at that point. So like you kind of got a stronger edge of hours. We just kind of got like overcast and drizzle at the very edge of it.
Yeah.
Sad. But I've been in hurricanes, so I know what those are.
Exactly.
Like.
Yeah.
I've been in hurricanes. I was in Irene and Rita.
I did.
Or not Rita. What was the other one? The other one that was a extra tropical. It was Sandy and Irene. Yeah. Hurricane Sandy.
Would have been 2000.
Yeah, I was in Delaware for both of those. And Sandy was the one that fucked up like some of the outlying areas of New York City and caused a bunch of flooding in the subways and shit. I think that was Sandy. Irene I think was the one that dropped a shit ton of water on Vermont. It like just came up into New England carrying much like this kind of broke apart, but carried a whole bunch of moisture inland in places that don't normally get water. Vermont got like tons of water that year and it washed out like a ton of roads and bridges and shit.
Blizzards.
And at some point, governments aren't gonna have the political ability. Like we're already there. We're already at the point where like it's very difficult politically to like get shit repaired, and like financially it's going to become harder. I mean, there's so much stuff.
I totally forgot to include the fires in Hawaii. Oh my god. Yeah. Like that was I think they were like, oh yeah, we'll make sure everyone gets a $600 stipend. It's like, what do you get? That's not even a month of rent.
Yeah, we didn't get no fucking stipend.
Yeah. I'm not saying don't give it to them, but like wish I got one too. Yeah, but I mean, the measures are nothing. I mean bananas to $600 you can buy 12. Anyway,
that's another joke, right?
Yes.
Who was that? Hillary Clinton?
No, I forget. I think it was like Modern Family or something like that.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was the one with the Bluths. I think it was. Yeah, had Jason Bates.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, let's see. We got Ukraine and F-16.
Oh, that was Arrested Development.
Arrested Development. There you go. Yes.
Yeah.
She's like, how much could a banana cost? $18 or something like that.
Yeah, because they're so fucking rich and out of touch.
Yeah, so disconnected. Anyway,
but he was starting like a frozen banana stand, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, like opening up on the beach, frozen banana stand. It was a good fucking idea. Like a little food cart's not a terrible idea.
Wasn't it a front for something?
No, I think it was just the kid was chasing his entrepreneurial ambitions and being a weirdo and thought that was fucking going to be his next best thing. And the family just supported him in like all of his fucking crackpot shit he wanted to do. Although I think there was some money laundering involved at some point later. Cause like, not the premise of the show. And this is terrible. I don't know this because it's really popular among some people. It's like it has a cult following.
I think the purposes of the show is that the father gets in trouble with the IRS, and so he's like hiding in the basement or some shit like that in order to stay.
Yeah, see, I thought he got in trouble for building. Basically, Iraq got sanctioned, and his company was still like doing housing subdivisions for them, like developing. And he got in trouble for violating sanctions.
Yeah, it's a great show. Watch it.
Yeah.
You know who won't get sanctioned or get in trouble for going against sanctions?
United States.
Yeah, we'll do it anytime we want. We're giving more ships, and we just need to give them missiles. Apparently.
So I want to say, roll back up to the byline by David Axe. You guys, you remember this guy?
No,
we talked about him before, I think.
Dude. Got no head.
It's funny names. Every once in a while you're like, oh, that's a pretty decent article that seems to be pretty like unbiased and this, that, and the other thing. But most of his shit is absolutely just fucking pup pieces. He's a stenographer, a propagandist for or the military industrial complex, and he writes for like a shit ton of different publications. Like he publishes like all over the place.
Yeah.
Which is a sure sign of a propagandist, right? Like
I have no loyalty.
If whoever you work for has connections at all of those papers and magazines and are getting your pieces published there, someone's working on his behalf.
Well, why are we reading
He's
this?
not a freelancer for sure.
I'm closing the window. We shouldn't read this.
What's that?
So I'm closing the window. We shouldn't read this.
Oh no, it's okay. I think we should.
Okay.
Because we know he's a propagandist. And it's like, see, if you go in like no information is scary unless you like have fucking, if you have critical thinking skills.
Mm-hmm.
Although there are things that I don't watch. Like I don't watch Alex Jones and I don't watch Jordan Peterson and I don't watch Ben Shapiro and folks like that because like they have a dangerous kind of ability to affect people's way of thinking in a way that's subtle where like it sounds fucking good, but like if you're a critical thinker, you can see the subtext and be like, those ideas are the kinds of ideas that are building this. We were talking Thursday about the anthem of the second American Civil War,
right?
Like,
yeah,
this kind of division and othering, and and it's really a boogeyman. Like, I know a lot of people that I fucking find disgustingly woke, and like they're not fucking bad people, and they're like, I mean, just let them fucking, play in their fucking sandbox. Like they're not hurting you.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's when they break out of the sandbox. That's when you got to worry.
Yeah. The woke people.
In your metaphor, you let them play in the sandbox.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of murdering them, which is what's going to happen the way that fucking things are going.
There's a lot of talk that's getting people riled up and it never stops. And we're not punishing the people that act on it and the people that incite it.
Everybody was so concerned about this mystical, having to show your vaccine registration card or whatever, which like people
Never
said
happened.
was happening. And like, I
Never
saw
happened.
a couple restaurants in the East Bay and like Walnut Creek or something that were like, hey, we would like you to show proof of vaccine if you're going to eat here. And guess what? We went and ate there and did not provide proof of vaccine.
Yeah.
So like, but those are the kind of people where now I need to have proof that I didn't get a vaccine because they will actually check your fucking papers. It's all just fucking projection, man.
Well, not only that, but a lot of it is very performative. It was just like, hey, we live in an area where this is necessary, or in a lot of cases here where a lot of people were against it. They were just like, I'm going to post a sign that says, fuck all that, and I'm going to go out of business, and I'm going to stay open, despite ordinances and all that. So, I mean, everybody was doing just, everything that they thought was right. I mean, which is freedom, I guess.
What freedom?
Freedom, and nobody really hurt anybody directly. So, I mean,
yeah, there's a whole interesting kind of split in the psychology. So we should do more to explore that. I think that would be fun. As opposed to covering news items, we should definitely do more just kind of exploration into that shit. And even if we just find one video and then like we just kind of watch along with part of it and discuss it, I think that would be fun. Sorry, we're negotiating the for potential large format changes like right here on air, but
what we're doing.
I'm just fucking tired and there's no way for us to keep up with how fucking fast shit's changing, and it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like you said, oh shit, I forgot the Maui fires and all these fires in fucking Canada, and all the fucking floods in China, and I think there's a thing,
fucking blizzards in Australia next, I'm sure.
No, probably not. Australia's going to be on fire before the fucking winter is over.
What?
No, I bet, dude.
No.
I was saying that fucking Europe's about to get like another major heat wave. Like,
I mean, the koalas deserve it because they're just like nature's failures that somehow just keep passing the tests. I think they're cheating off of one of the other animals.
I think that they're probably disadvantaged due to normal ecological change, and they are just generalist enough to where they've been able to like breed and keep up, and their urbanization and shit has they've adapted to it in a way like raccoons and foxes and all sorts of other shit has skunks, possums.
I'm pretty sure they can only eat eucalyptus. And it's poison.
But I mean, like they can live. They don't need to live in like a fucking undisturbed I mean, forest. Like they live like in fucking subdivisions and shit.
Yeah,
as long as their food source is there.
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, they're nature's failures, man. They're eating something that's poisonous, and it gives them so few calories that their brains are smooth.
Well, maybe. But I mean, no organisms survived this long, though. I mean,
well, I was going to say,
humans.
All that matters is survival, not thrival. We're just looking to get to the next generation. That's all nature demands of you.
I think there's nothing that's survival. I mean, we were talking about that Grizzly Man show last week, weren't we? Or was that?
Oh, I meant like literally, survival in order to propagate the species. Like you don't have to be incredibly smart. The koala, gets by because it filled a niche because like no one else eats this tree, and they're just like, yeah, I'll eat that.
You have to have enough surplus calories to invest in reproduction.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, which means not starving. Yeah. Because once you like starve yourself, like that happens to vegans and shit all the time. They'll stop having periods. Like your body just literally will not reproduce, even if you wanted it to, because you're starving yourself because your ethics compel you to do something that harms you because your ethics are that out of touch with fucking reality. And with the world that we live in, and the world that you as an organism adapted to.
Can't imagine not eating cheese. It's like a byproduct.
No, because then dairy cows are slaves. And what do they do with the calves? They kill the calves. Well, they kill the calves because, you can't just have endless fucking cows.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you either got to kill the calves or you got to kill the adult. I mean, I got to do one or the other. Yeah.
The soy you want? You think we just need corn and soy, and then that's a healthier ecological system than cows on grass? What are you gonna do with the cows?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna having to grow fucking corn and soya and have cows there anyway. You're just not gonna eat them.
Yeah, and they're gonna eat all
cows
the
and bison and elk and antelopes and fuck it, bring shit from Africa out here. Why not? At this point, dude, if a fucking zebra would survive on the Great Plains, mix it all up. Let genes do their thing. At least we'll have some survival.
I mean, we already pretty much fucked everything anyway.
You've already mixed
in terms of invasiveness. Yeah. And they're like the zebra mussel or something like that. It's just devastating the fucking East Coast, I think. Or no, it's over here. I think it's everywhere actually at this point.
It's everywhere. Yeah, but Oregon and Washington are real serious about that fucking zebra mussel.
Yeah, just ruin some waterways. Fantastic. Love it. Anyway,
it's super aggressive.
Yeah, it does well.
It's going to be a survivor, and guess what? It's going to be the common ancestor of probably dozens of species, millions of years from now.
Yeah, and maybe one of them will crawl onto land, discover fire. And
maybe intelligent fucking.
They'll be like, "Where the fuck's all the oil? We were told there was oil."
Crows, bro.
2 crows.
Making 2 crows.
So it looks like we're getting more F-16s for Ukraine, so they can keep fighting everybody else's wars. I mean, if I recall correctly, we hadn't gotten planes from anybody yet, right?
Have
they not gotten planes from anybody yet, or is this just
no? They have not gotten F-16s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, see, so Ukraine's Air Force existing arsenal of 40 and 50-year-old MiG and Su aircraft, fighters and bombers.
Gotcha.
So they have 125 old Soviet-made planes, which are the MiGs and the Sus.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like the Netherlands and Denmark want to give them 61 F-16s. So the problem with an F-16, if you roll a little lower, it's American-designed F-16 can carry that matters the most to Russia's wider war on Ukraine grinds in its 19th month. modern air-to-air and air-to-surface missiles, plus precision-guided bombs, all of which extend the striking range of Ukraine warplanes, allowing them to pluck at Russian positions deep in occupied territory without exposing Kyiv's pilots to the most dangerous Russian air defenses. Scroll a little lower. Ukraine already has received from its foreign allies a wide array of modern munitions. Technicians have modified the Ukrainians' MiGs and Sus to carry these munitions, and they could arm their air forces ex-Danish and ex-Dutch F-16s too. As a bonus, the F-16 can access all the munitions' best features, which the old ex-Soviet planes can't always do. The missile that might make the most difference, the Lockheed Martin Joint Air-to-Surface Strike Missile, a 2-ton stealthy cruise missile with a 230-mile range, still is on Kyiv's wish list. Unless and until the U.S. approves the JASSM transfer to Ukraine, Ukraine F-16s will fly short of their full potential. My understanding, and this is the point, I just wanted to do an update. My understanding is that Russia has already made it abundantly clear that one of these munitions that this article leads out, one of the munitions that the fucking F-16 can carry is nukes. An F-16 can carry a small fucking nuke in a guided bomb or in a cruise missile. Right? And so, and with a 230-mile range, I'm not positive, but that could get, that's the missiles range, not the planes range.
Right.
And those planes are quite fast. They could be shooting fucking nukes at Russian cities in Russia, potentially. And so what I heard Russia say, this was a long time ago when the F-16s were first being floated and there was no tentative agreement like there is now, or at least a path towards it, right? It was just like, oh, okay, we need to get them some F-16s. And now there's at least there's 61. I'm not sure. Did this article say that it was guaranteed they were sending them, or it was just like they're talking about sending it?
They have pledged it. They have not done it.
Pledged. Yes. Okay, great. So this is now it's not just, hey, we're asking or we think we need these, but here you have countries saying, yes, we will provide those.
Yeah. So the distance from Kiev to Moscow is 536 miles.
Yep.
So they have about half the range. So they would just need to fly halfway there, and they could hit the capital city. Huzzah!
Huzzah.
So I have a dark, sense of humor, and I saw this, and I immediately pictured like an Amazon, wish list, Vladimir Zelensky, planes, tanks.
I have a feeling if we start now, so long as there's no nuclear war before December 25th, we could probably make a viral fucking 12 Days of Christmas where Ukraine gets all its toys.
Oh, damn it.
Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted.
Make it viral. And we could just do each day as its own fucking viral TikTok video. Link it all into one big one.
All right. Yeah. Okay. It's on the list.
All right, great. So at any rate, I just think that like Russia's already said, hey, if you give them F-16s, like F-16s are nuclear capable. We'll have to treat every plane and every missile being fired as a nuke, and we will have to respond in kind, which means our nukes in Kaliningrad are pointed at Polish and German, now Dutch and Danish cities, right? They have to have some kind of way of retaliating. And like they've said over and over and over again, we have fucking nukes and we will use them if we have to. And so what does the collective West do? What does NATO and led by the United States? What do? They say, yeah, we don't believe you. We're going to fucking call your bluff. And I like, all right, you're moving closer. You're crossing another red line. We will use these if we have to. And they're not going to use them until then. They're going to finally, it's going to happen. Eventually, they're going to use a small nuke in a really kind of like isolated situation where it's not going to be fucking in your face. It's probably going to be against some strike group or some other kind of like smaller military formation. They're going to fucking wipe that shit out. And then the West is going to be like, Russia used nukes. It's time for us to use nukes. And they're going to start using nukes when Russia was literally just being like, I'm trying to, escalate to de-escalate or whatever else they want to fucking call it.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, back the fuck off. Like, this is the fucking first bite at the hand, right? That strikes me. This is the first bite. This is your warning before I rip your fucking throat open.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane, bro. And all of this in the fucking carbon footprint of this shit. Right when we're dealing with like the whole fucking world is either flooding or on fire. Like, it's fucking weird. I don't know if like mentally I'm just in a different state, or if like genuinely like there is a malaise or just this kind of like dark energy pulsing through the fucking world right now. Like, I don't know how much of that is me and how much of it is just, part of the times. But
I mean, I've heard it from a lot of different people. That it's really hard to escape the negativity because it's everywhere. It's here right now.
We're not trying to be negative. We're just trying to be real.
But, yeah. But well, I mean, being real, people know what's going on. They're not stupid, and they'd like to escape it. I mean, I was talking to somebody who was just like, I turn on the news, and no matter what station I click it over to, it's fucking bad news. Like,
what did they say?
Like, I would. If it bleeds, it leads. He was saying,
it leads, that's it.
Yeah. He's like, I'd kill for a fucking squirrel on water skates these days.
But that's what TikTok's for.
Water skis. Yeah. Well, he's an older guy.
I literally, it came up in my feed, and I made sure I liked it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna subscribe to the guy. It literally was just like the camera panning around, and they were in a park, and they had a fucking like tri-tip grilling, and they just like the tri-tip stayed in the foreground as they rotated and showed the park they were in, and it was just like they're just grilling a piece of meat, bro.
Yeah,
it was fucking awesome. Anyway, you got another clip for this?
Got another.
Let's knock it out because we have a video we want to close on.
Yeah. Vladimir Zelensky quipped that Ukraine is ready for territorial exchange. He suggests that Kiev might surrender certain territories to Russia. He joked that Ukraine would instead be willing to give up control of Russian border region of Belgorod, which is repeatedly attacked by Kiev-aligned forces. But the Ukrainian president said this during a joint press meeting with the Danish prime minister. So he basically, I forget who it was, if it was the Danish prime minister or someone else, but they recommended, like, hey, if you give up some of your territories, we can get you into NATO right now and better protect what's left. So basically, run home, tail tucked, and lose something to keep, or lose a little to keep a lot. And he was like, sure, I'll lose something. I'll lose fucking this border town with Russia.
Well, Belgorod, I think Belgorod is in Russia.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. He's saying, I will cede this Russian town to us and get admittance, to NATO. So I mean, it's meant to be a joke, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I took it as like, yeah, we want to compromise. We'll stop attacking Belgorod.
Oh, that could be
it. Yeah. Everything else.
Yeah, that could be it for sure.
Either way, fucking Ukraine is losing, and that's, I mean, it's a long slog, but like they can't win on their own, and at some point NATO's going to give up.
Yeah, they can't win on their own, and people are tired of it. Like, I don't see as many flags around. Americans have a short interest, anyway. So unless it's all about like, hey, we can keep selling arms and making money, it'll probably peter out eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. We have more stuff to cover, so we should move on. But I do think it's just kind of weird. The whole situation is just kind of fucked. Yeah. And this situation is also fucked. This looks like you're going to talk about Niger.
I am, because I thought this was kind of interesting. So I wanted to talk about it.
Niger's military ruler has proposed a 3-year transition of power after West African leaders made another attempt at diplomacy to reverse the coup. The statement by General Abdourahmane Chiani followed talks with a delegation from West Africa's main regional bloc, ECOWAS. They also met Niger's deposed president. It's the first time Mohamed Bazoum has been seen in public since last month's military takeover. Nicholas Hark reports.
Answering the junta's call to mobilize, tens of thousands of volunteers gathered outside of Niger's national stadium to join the armed forces. For the junta, this is a show of popular support for last month's coup. An act of defiance in the face of the threat of military action from the West African body ECOWAS, which wants to reinstate the deposed elected President Bazoum. And the coup leader, General Chiani, delivered a message of his own after meeting an ECOWAS delegation in the capital Niamey.
Neither the National Council for the Safeguard of the Homeland nor the people of Niger want war and remain open to dialogue. But let us be clear, if an attack were to be undertaken against us, it will not be the walk in the park some people seem to think.
And I think that's just interesting because it's basically a group of people who seem to actually have the support of the people. And
dude, the previous leader was installed by a coup.
Yeah, exactly.
That coup.
Yeah,
and people fucking did not like him.
Yeah, and so what's interesting is they're also saying like, no, we don't want that person back, and also we have a plan for, giving power back to the citizens. So like, we're not here to stay. We're not trying to do, a fucking authoritarian dictatorship or anything like that. So
I think the fact that they're like, hey, like, if this government is legitimate, this government needs to have a military because, like, we haven't really had much of a military or security force because the French have been occupying us.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, we're kicking the fucking French out. We're going to kick the U.S. out probably too. I haven't heard anything, but I guess that I'm certain that's part of the plan. And we're going to kick them fucking out. And we need to be able to defend ourselves, which we come back to this a lot. And we talk about it in the Civil War stuff too. But like, really, like, community self-defense is it's one of the things that the left fails to incorporate into the way they think. They'd rather just go on and on and on and on and on and on about the same fucking tried bullshit that's been happening for years. Bernie's a sellout. Oh, look at this thing. He fucking transferred campaign money to his nonprofit foundation that his wife and son run. Then they spent it on salaries. Look, Bernie's corrupt. It's like, that's not going to fucking solve anything. You need to be with your friends, learning how to fucking treat a gunshot wound. You need to be fucking training with weapons so that you're safe and effective and accurate. It's like you need to be fucking working on, getting your stores of personal stores of grains in order, and working with other kind of either pacifist or church organizations or whatever to start community gardens and start putting food everywhere you can put food in your fucking neighborhoods.
Right.
Like, you need to fucking take responsibility for your own fucking security.
Yeah.
And that means everything. And the left is fucking bankrupt, dude.
What?
They don't fucking get it, and they don't fucking listen either, because I've been trying to say it for fucking ever. Sorry, go ahead.
It very much reminds me of the South Park episode, where they're a little bit country and a little bit rock and roll, and basically all the people on the left, get to be a bit of a pussy because the people on the right are willing to go to war at the drop of a hat, and so it rang, with what you were saying, because basically, people on the left have just assumed that the people on the right will take care of defense if it becomes necessary, and so they can focus on these other things and not on defending themselves.
We need leaders, and we don't have them. And the leaders that are in power or that have been in power are either fucking liars or just outright criminals, or a mix of both. They're all corrupt. They all serve the fucking other institutions. And what we need is a society. We need to not be just machines making babies.
Or not making babies.
We need to have a society, and that means that we need to have some other purpose than just serving the machine. And that's why I say, glory to Glorzo.
Glory to Glorzo? What a great anthem.
I just wanted to end with this because I think it's awesome.
I was hatched from an egg laid by some guy, 'cause that is Glorzo.
Why are they all so low?
And then it came time to lay my own egg and die. But summer she said, hey, Glorzo, won't you stay?
means how could we ever make Glorzo free?
Exactly.
For all we know, everything we've known is shit we made up. Glory, glory.
Such a great line.
Means glory to me. We got too many eggs and not enough society.
Everything we know is shit we made up, which is just like that's how it works. And we're just fucking egg machines. Anyway, you can roll the music, the real music. This has been with Thunder's Applause, and today we talked about, what did we talk about?
We talked about what makes weed smell like skunk.
Smell like skunks.
We talked about various weather anomalies that are going on throughout the world.
Climate disaster porn.
And some non-porn. We didn't find any really good, cars getting swept away in Southern California. Maybe next time. And then we also talked about the war in Ukraine and the potential war in Africa, which hopefully doesn't escalate and sounder minds prevail and the West keeps its fucking nose out of at least one place in the world. And then we
invade Mexico and Ecuador, right?
Yeah, let's get that done. And then we also talked about glory to our great leader Glorzo.
The leader we need. The one who says, it's not about reproducing the machine because it's all just shit we made up. You can't have freedom if we just keep fucking playing by the goddamn rules. That's why I keep saying, plant a fucking vegetable in a pot and learn how to fucking take apart a weapon and put it back together, lubricate it, and fucking put a bullet on mark. Learn how to fucking communicate with people non-violently. Right? There's plenty of skills. Learn how to play music and entertain each other and tell stories.
Bake some bread.
Learn how to bake some sourdough.
It's a lot
Beautiful. Learn how to get the nice crack in it. Learn how to take the fucking lid off right at the right time.
Yeah.
Then it lets the steam out, right? And then it starts to dry out and it cracks.
Yep. It's so satisfying.
Man. Yeah, man. And we
closer to perfection every day.
We could have a beautiful life where bread is magic again. And hopefully we can build it. This has been with Thunder's Applause, where we'd like to remind you when liberty dies, it dies.
With Thunder's Applause.
Deuces.
Let it go.
Show me that beautiful Yoda.